it's so obvious to me as an outsider even. It's a big problem in my country, but it's an even bigger one in the US, that absent fathers and broken homes are the arguably the biggest problem in this country, right? That's something America's number one at, that America should not want to be number one at. And most people don't want to talk about that because it might upset people, it might trigger people, it's a little uncomfortable to talk about the breakdown of marriage and high divorce rates and the huge numbers of children growing up without fathers and single motherhood. It's not pleasant to talk about because we all know people who are coming from this or who are experiencing it and whatever, but that needs to come into the conversation. It needs to come into the conversation because it's massively important. So yeah, just to your credit, I love that you talk about the uncomfortable topics, and I like that you go into the lion's den as well to do it. You're not just sticking to
not
the
running to
easy
lead
ones.
a political party. That would not be worth it.
Yeah,
you're running to lead a country.
Yes,
you better be willing to talk to everybody, agree with you or not.
But it's so rare.
Yeah, I'm listening to you speak, and I think actually that's also one of the challenges that I think one of my challenges in determining whether or not I succeed in this Republican primary is going to come out. I was just jotting down some of the things you said. Comes down to a tension between the values that I'm advocating for are deeply conservative values. But my method of wanting to get there is radical in terms of a quantum leap to a worthy destination. Not abolishing the government, but abolishing a fourth branch of government that where it ultimately exercises political power today. And there's a tension in that. And I see it in many of the Republican audiences that I talked to. I saw it in the first debate and the response to it a little bit, is that the people who share the conservative value set that I share and I'm advocating for, it's in the name. They want to conserve, right? Yeah. Whereas what I'm talking about is getting into some of these agencies and bureaucracies, and even the swamp exists in the private sector too. Shut it down, not through incremental reform, but through a quantum leap of actually shutting it down. And so that is, I think, a methodology that is inherently in tension with the people who want to conserve rather than drive radical change.
Yes.
But my challenge back is, what happens when the things that you want to conserve no longer exist? And I think that that's something that we have lost.
Yes.
Actually, is the things that we want to conserve when they don't exist, then we have to actually create from the ground up, and that takes a quantum leap.
Yeah, it's because
to accomplish.
Do you know what I consider you? I consider you a progressive conservative.
You know, it's funny you say that. It's interesting. Progressive in the methodology, maybe.
Yes, exactly.
But conservative in the content.
Because conservative can be, country to country, person to person. It can, conservatism in the UK is very different to conservatism in the US, even, right? And the battles are very different, and the way people talk about things are very different. But I think there's sort of two fundamentally different ways to understand conservatism. I think your approach is almost looking back at what the principles the USA was originally founded upon, like those core ideas and values, and wanting to cut off the stuff that is not in line with that. So it's like a libertarian approach. It's leaning it all down and going back to the origination point, right? Whereas for other people, conservatism means maintaining the status quo. So that's the challenge you're describing. So for people who want to maintain the status quo, even if it's not serving them well, even if some of these organizations are corrupted or they're not serving a purpose or they never really had one to begin with, they still, in their mindset, are very apprehensive about those things being shut down, especially when you use that, like, shut it down, right? Or on the left side, they're like, abolish this thing, dismantle this thing. And it makes people go like, wait, I'm used to this thing. This has been here my whole life. If you say I want to shut down the FBI, I'm not even American. But as far as I know, the FBI has it's existed my entire life. This organization's always been there. I assume it serves a valuable purpose. Whatever, people just get used to things. And so if someone says that, it's like there's a natural reaction to it. But I think that's perhaps a battle that's going on even within conservatism itself. You have the sort of conservatives And then you have more like progressive conservatives who are like, no, I want change, and I want massive change to achieve what conservatism was originally supposed to be.